Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahushua, Ba'Shem, Harakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders, great most on the rule, and Shalom to the brothers doing the work, in truth. Yeah, just wanted to touch on a scripture because I was meditating on it. Because, now, well, it's like looking at these worldly religions, which, like the two key ones kind of globally are going to be Christianity and that Islam. And it's like with both of those you have essentially that comes with a lot of like performance, whereas it's kind of you're kind of presenting what's meant to be your faith to the world, like more so with these Muslims, man, because it's that time of the year where these guys are doing that Ramadan, where these guys are meant to be fasting, but then it's the way they're doing it is just it's funny because it's really that to be seen before men kind of thing. Because I read this, so it's Matthew 6:5, and it says, "And when thou prayest, thou shalt not be as the hypocrites are, for they love to pray standing in synagogues and in the corners of the streets." And I remember like years back, like when we were back in Stratford, when we used to teach in Stratford, it's forever ago, like way back. I remember one time we were teaching, and a guy just come and just put like his little mat down, not too far away from us, started praying. It was just like, what are you doing? It's like, one, we're not with you guys, and two, it's like, how are you just gonna be, under the bright sun in the midst of the afternoon, just stop in the street, put your mat down, and start praying? But why it's these acts are seen, they're seen before men, and they're kind of that's how these things are done. Because with that, all these things when you're doing, the acts before men, as it says what that they may be seen of men. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward. And yeah, that's how it is, especially with, and it's funny because the way it manifests with these Christians is more behind closed doors. These guys will maneuver like any other worldly element, and that's something that it's the same for the Muslims as well. It's like I remember growing up, I'd know a bunch of them, and these guys all drink, smoke weed, fuck girls. They're basically moving like a regular denizen of London, just a regular member of the city, man. These guys weren't what do you call it? Like, they weren't holding themselves to any kind of special standard away from, people in the world. They'll maneuver and just like them. But then why is because as far as for them, it's only about putting on a kind of show, presenting to a certain extent. They might do one or two things, they might fulfill in certain areas, but then they're not going to take it seriously in its entirety. And that's kind of the nature of this thing of ours, man. This thing we're dealing with is something where you can't just like take a portion of it, or take a part of it, and then just kind of be like, okay, I'm gonna fulfill 20% of it or 40% of it. Something where you have to go the whole hog. You have to do the whole man. You have to be in it wholeheartedly. And that's really the difference, because as far as for these guys, like I said, verily I say unto you, they have their reward. It says what, verse 6? But thou, when thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut thy door, pray to thy Father which is in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. And yeah, that's the nature of how you're meant to be engaging with it, to where something, if you're praying, you throw your prayers up, pray for the brotherhood, pray, pray for your family, pray for what, whatever it is, but then it's something that's meant to be done as a private venture, well, privately, something you keep to yourself. You ain't gonna be like, okay, yeah, let me just, okay, well, I'm just, in the middle of a theater. you were in the middle of a theater, man's watching a movie, and then you just slap out. Fucking hell, you just slap out a mat and start praying, man. But that's, it shows kind of, the mindset where they're at. Because as far as, when you're dealing with Christians, they're meant to be dealing with this book. And when you're dealing with these Muslims, these men are, they're meant to be branching off it. But it shows that they're dealing with something else entirely. Both of them, really. Because why? These words hold no weight, man. It says what? Pray to thy Father which is in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. But when you pray, use not vain repetitions as the heathen do. And yeah, that vain repetition, these things, it's you can see it's even with the church as well, man. These men will be having like you have the whole congregation in like in the main hall or whatever, and then you're gonna have them singing and dancing, front flipping, doing legendary dance moves, lighting up, slip sliding, all that. Man's breaking it, doing moves harder than legendary dancers. And then they'll all be praying in public, like 200, 300, 5,000 people in a fucking room, all pray, like, where it's they've completely they're paying negative regard to these words, man. And then doing the superest vain repetition, man. But it's why it shows that as far as the act of prayer, it's far and away from these people, man. And that's really how it is with all these different forms of worship. It's from Israel was separate. They were an exception, man. They were an exceptional nation. Because why? The way we dealt with our power, the way the relationship we had with our power, with Yahweh Shem Yahshua Hashem Harakah Gadash, was completely alien to everyone else. And how they dealt, man. These guys dealt with pantheons, man. Multiple gods, man. They dealt with assortments. That's why you go into you go on Wikipedia and you're like, okay, you're gonna look up gods of the Egyptians, the Greeks, the Persians. You can have what do you call it? Pantheons, man. Collections of various these different gods. Because why? They'll have one that'll be for spring, one that'll be for the rain, one that'll be for the for the soil, one that'll be for for childbirth, one that'll be for war, one that'll be for for wisdom, one that'll be for the sun, one that'll be for what certain crops. Your base, that's how these heathen dealt, man. They dealt in a completely alien way to how Israel engages with their power. And so that's why it's it's looked at like, oh, okay, that's strange, it's odd. It's strange, it's odd, because why? We're basically just have we've got the one power, we deal with him, And then he, as long as we keep up our end of the bargain, then he covers us. And these guys are, they even be thinking, well, good examples with Dagon, man. When the Philistines took the Ark of the Covenant, they were thinking, oh well, we can have the God of the Israelites and Dagon and link up. And then what happened? Dagon was found flat on his face, man, because it was an idol. And that's really the key thing. As far as for, Yahweh Hashem Yahshua Hashem Harakah Kadash is, he's there by himself, man. There's no other power. They ain't no Dagons out there. They ain't no Zeuses or Jupiters. They ain't no Osiris's and Ra, Amun Ra's and that. These are all idols, which is why it's you're dealing with wood and stone, man. And that's to the modern day, they still endured, man. There's all kinds of. It's funny because Christianity was born out of what? Rapping all those prior pagan practices. Really, it was codified in the Council of Nicaea, where they rolled in all them heathenish practices, and then just started being like, okay, look, we're gonna get everyone to be, so-called Christian, by just rapid, keeping all their practices. They can continue their practices, but okay, we're changing it up. We're gonna say, it's now instead of it being an honor onto Ishtar, it's well, we'll still call it Easter, but just say it's about we're switching up. It's actually when saying Yahushua was came back to life. That's essentially what how they're trying to deal with it. But then what? It's all these heathenish practices. It's it's gonna end in vanity, and then that's why it's the whole way it's observed, is vanity. Because why? A good example for that is what with when Elijah challenged the worshippers of Baal. They were under what was it? Jezebel and Ahab, I believe. King Ahab. And then what was it? He said like, yo, if you call on to him, then he'll be able to light the what do you call it? The altar, I believe. Then what? They cry out, there's no answer. That's why something is done before men, man. Because it's something, as far as, what you're going to get from it, you're going to get shit, man. I'll read it again. Matthew 6:5, it says, and when thou prayest, thou shalt not be as the hypocrites are, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and in the corners of the streets, that they may be seen of men. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward. But thou, when thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut thy door, pray to thy Father which is in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. But when you pray, use not vain repetitions, as the heathen do, for they think that they shall be heard for their much speaking. Be not ye therefore like unto them, for your Father knoweth what things ye have need of before you ask of him. Yeah. Ain't got to use that vain repetition, and yeah. It's funny, I read the book about character arcs, and it said like, you always have, with your character, you'll have what your character wants and what your character needs. And then generally, like, the character arc will be them chasing what they want, but only coming to realize over time, going through certain hardships and experiences to then realize, okay, no, wait, this is what I need. And that's, Hayal Bashim Yashai Bashimar Kadash tells these men. So you might think like, yo, okay, if I get X, Y, Z, might be praying for a certain thing, thinking that'll help, deal with your situation to a certain extent or solidify your faith and whatnot. But then what? Bashim Yashai might have that happen, or might have something else happen to where it's like, yo, that gives you way more what you need. And then you're like, after you look back, you're like, damn, didn't even know. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Just a quick one, man. Shalom. Yeah, but Shimi Shab, Shima Kak, Shalom.